Ghost and supernatural stories by ghostly echoes retold. It was a few years ago when I worked the night shift at St. Emery's Hospital, a quiet place most of the time, nestled at the edge of town. Nights were long, and the silence could become unnerving, but we'd grown used to it. Still, nothing could prepare us for what happened one particular night. It started innocently enough. Around 11 p.m, the lights in Ward C would flicker briefly, something we often blamed on old wiring. That ward had always felt different. It housed patients with more severe cases, both physically and mentally. One room, room 316, had been sealed off for years after an incident that staff rarely spoke about. The story went like this. About a decade ago, a patient named Gerald Huxley had been admitted to 316. Gerald wasn't your average patient. He'd been brought in after a violent breakdown, screaming about shadows in his head and clawing at his own skin as if trying to tear something out. Initially diagnosed with severe psychosis, his condition rapidly worsened. Nurses reported him muttering in unknown languages, his eyes wide and unfocused, as though he saw things no one else could. One night, Gerald became violent. He attacked 2 nurses, one barely escaping with deep gashes on her arms. When security intervened, Gerald was eerily strong, inhumanly so, they said. In the chaos, he was killed in what was ruled as self-defense. Strangely, the room grew unnaturally cold in the aftermath, and his body, it didn't look right. His face twisted into a grotesque smile, and his fingers seemed to lock in rigid claw-like shapes. The room was closed, sealed, and left untouched since. Back to my shift, about midnight, the hospital's PA system crackled to life. Normally used for announcements, it emitted static and garbled sounds. My colleague Sarah and I exchanged uneasy glances. No one was at the control panel. A voice whispered something faint, almost melodic, but the words were unintelligible. It ended as abruptly as it started. At 2 a.m, one of the nurses, Amy, mentioned feeling watched while passing Ward C. I decided to check it out. The corridor leading to Ward C felt heavier, as if the air itself resisted movement. When I reached room 316, the sealed door stood ajar, a door that hadn't been opened in years. Inside, the room was icy cold. The faint smell of antiseptic lingered, but there was something else, a metallic tang in the air. As my flashlight swept the room, I saw scratches on the walls, deep gouges that spelled out fragmented words like hunger and release. Then it hit me. A sound, a growl, emanated from the corner. I turned to see a shadow darker than the dim room itself, almost humanoid in shape, but its form constantly shifted. Its eyes were faint, red pinpricks fixated on me. My body froze, my breath shallow. The shadow moved closer, and as it did, my ears filled with a cacophony of voices, pleas for help, screams and faint laughter. It was as if Gerald's agony and rage had been imprinted on this place, feeding something far worse. In that moment, I understood why the room had been left alone. I stumbled back, barely managing to whisper, "Who are you?" The figure seemed to stop, its presence almost curious. Then it spoke in a voice that was a chilling mixture of Gerald's and something far deeper. "Still here, waiting." The lights in the hallway flickered violently, and Sarah, who had come looking for me, screamed. The shadow lunged, and I fell backward, dragging her out as the door slammed shut on its own. When we looked back, the corridor was empty, the silence deafening. After that night, room 316 was sealed again. Officially, the hospital chalked it up to stress-induced hallucinations on my part. But Sarah and I knew better. I started digging into Gerald's past. He'd claimed to be haunted by a presence after visiting an abandoned church during a college dare. Some said he brought something back with him, something hungry. To this day, no one enters Ward C willingly. Staff say they still hear faint whispers and footsteps coming from 316, though the door remains locked. As for me, I transferred to a different hospital, but sometimes, in the quiet moments of my shift, I hear that same static in the PA system, and I can't help but wonder if Gerald's torment still lingers. They say St. Emery's was built over an ancient pauper's cemetery, but the records are unclear. Perhaps Gerald wasn't just haunted. Perhaps he was chosen. If this chilling tale gave you goosebumps, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this. Thank you for tuning in to Ghostly Echoes. Until next time,